Welcome in, everyone. Today's video we're going to be going over some unusual whales flow alerts that came in on 11/10/2023, and this is going into the week of 11/13 to 11/17 of 2023. So I'm going to kind of go over some flow alerts that stuck out to me for some possible good setups this week, some scalps, some good day trade ideas, whatever. Kind of go over the chart, go over the flow, and kind of go over the flow alerts. And for those who are a little newer, I do have a video on how I like to pull the data out of the flow alerts list and kind of what's good and bad flow here. So I'll take that video in here too, just so somebody that's new can check that out. But I actually went ahead and pulled out 3 good alerts that I liked, which are Rivian, XOM, and Intel. So let's get started here with Rivian. So we had 2 alerts coming on Friday here, both on the 11/24 15.5 16 call. And again, everything I'm doing is ask side only. So I mean, you can just click on this and it's going to show you the ask side. So let's look at the flow here. So again, we had one come in 2 minutes before close, and a little earlier in the day. I am Central Standard Time, so I'm going by that. So if your numbers are or your time's off a little bit, that's why. But let's look at the alerts that came in here. So the first contract is at 16 call. And again, this is nice, clean flow, getting a lot of ask side volume, not a lot of bid side. So you're seeing a nice big whale come in here right before close. And again, I will always check the open interest in the morning. And moving on to the 15.5 call. So again, another clean flow one here. See where they entered here, and again, obviously always check that volume and open interest in the morning. So again, that's really easy flow there to see. Now let's pull up the chart. So, and again, I already kind of got this set up, but here's where our chart is on Rivian. I mean, you can see we're coming to test that the bottom of this little downtrend here. So, and then this would be our little channel in here and day chart here. Bump it out. I mean, I'll always bump it out every once in a while just to kind of get a big frame. So I mean, you could almost call this flagging into demand zone 2, whatever you want to call it. But we're right at that downtrend test, so I like that spot there for some possible calls. Pull this back to the day chart. So I mean, again, even that daily, you call us flagging into that demand zone. So, and one thing I like to do also too, I always like to check their last earnings report. So I mean, we just beat earnings, beat revenue. So, and again, this whale, 12 days, I would consider this kind of short midterm. So I would almost look for that bounce here around, where do we got? I like 1494-ish here almost. Yeah, 1494, where you kind of test that. And again, this trend line isn't always guaranteeing a bounce, but you can use it to estimate. So I mean, nice little bounce area here. You kind of got good support. So even looking at the contracts here, let me pull up Rivian. So yeah, I want to look at these. So they were 12 days out. I always pay attention to that open interest and volume. So I would like these 15. Let's see if we got some good volume on Friday. So we got a good volume. Again, I'd want to see how much of that carries over. This is something I wouldn't like to get in. More than likely, we'll probably see a lot of this turn into open interest, but we want to get as close to the money with this, just because Rivian's a little slower mover too. So I mean, you like looking at that delta 5 to, I mean, barely any theta on that. That's nice, especially if you planned on swinging something like this. But that delta of 50 to 1, I mean, you get a dollar move, that's 100% on the contracts. So that's one thing I like to look for, because you don't want to come out here and get like a 17 call when, well, delta's kind of good on these because they're a slower mover, but like this 19 call, you'd see a low delta, and you'd have to get a whole dollar move. And I mean, you get 100% on the contract, but they're not very forgiving contracts. So keep that in mind. So I do kind of like these. I'd go with that 15.5 if we can get some more open interest to carry over. Otherwise, that 16 is good. And looking at, let's look at that entry again here, which was 1494-ish. So let's see. I believe I marked that out already. So have some ways to go down here, but kind of bumping that out. I mean, this is the 4-hour chart here. So, I mean, you can see we have good support here. Good bounce area there, even bumping this out to the day chart from this end. I mean, this would be the very bottom here, I'd feel like, at 1368, which would be a stop out. Obviously, if we fell that hard, I would not let it fall that hard. But again, even looking at the hour chart, and again, the whale is looking kind of more for a shorter midterm bounce, so don't have to be super conservative on the entry. So I kind of like that first little spot for an entry, and seeing good volume spikes here too at that spot. So that is the Rivian call. So kind of looking short to midterm on these contracts. I'd look for that entry around 1494 here. And again, it's a slower mover, so that 15.5, 16 call on those 12, or not 12, 11, 24, 15, 5, 16s if this gets good open interest. So let's move on to XOM now. So get the chart up and we will get the flow up here. So come over to XOM. So we have one alert that came in here. Good size, good premium, little longer term on those contracts. And again, these are repeated hits ascending fill, which is just what it sounds like. I mean, the fill is ascending. I mean, not much here, but they're not. It's just the fill is going up, so they're paying more per contract. So there could be more aggressive when you think of it like that. So again, here's an alert. Let's look at the flow here. So again, clean flow here. Again, some bid side stuff earlier in the day. Nothing huge, but again, that ask side volume versus that bid side. And again, can always watch that volume and open interest in the morning. So move that out. And let's move over to the chart here on XOM. So XOM chart, a little messier here just because it's oil, and oil is heavily influenced by macro conditions. So keep that in mind as well. But let's start here. So I've got my little support here back to about October of last year. So I've been finding good support here, and again, day chart here. So there's your bounce spot, and you can see we're intersecting the support with a trend line bounce, or uptrend bounce. So let me bump this out to the weekly, actually, because we'd be going a little longer on that. And again, you can see we're really high up here on oil. So could almost call this almost a demand zone test to supply zone, whatever, or not demand zone, and then a support zone, sorry. But again, easy to see. Here's our trend line. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Here we are again. Looks like it's starting to want to bounce a little bit. Bump this back down to the day. And even if I get rid of that uptrend line, again, very good support in this area. Very good support. So we've got that. So it was the repeated hits on the 12, 15, 105 calls. So again, these are just 1% out of the money. So let's check, because I know they just had earnings as well too. So again, missed earnings and revenue, it looks like. So not horrible, but something to keep your eyes on. And we do have a dividend date approaching, so this could also help with our bounce idea theory. So since these are a little longer term on the contract, though, I do almost like looking for calls around about 102.78, and that 12.15 chain has good open interest. So let's go over there and take a peek at that. So here's our XOM, and again, I already have this kind of marked out a little bit. Just kind of start out here. I mean, start out at the day chart, kind of find a nice little area of interest that you can see a bounce. I like moving down. I will always usually work the further time frame out and make my way in. So again, here's your 4-hour chart again. We're at support here. The last time we've been at the support, bounce, 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 and bounce. And again, a little earlier too, bounce, bounce, bounce with, I mean, have some dips. Obviously, a support line doesn't 100% say something's going to go up. This is just technical analysis here mixed with flow. So again, there's macro factors that go into oil as well too. So keep that in mind, because right now we have all the conflicts going on. So, and again, bumping back out to that 30-minute chart, we'll see it's probably not going to, it's going to look a little more cluttered. I like the hour chart here actually better. So good support there. Support there. Good support here. More support here. So again, I kind of like that as more of a patient idea. I'd try to get as best of an entry as I can on this. Obviously, see where we open with futures, all that stuff. So that is kind of the XOM one. And actually, I want to pull up the contracts because we didn't look at the contracts. So we were looking at that 12.15 chain again. It's a little. I think that 26 is a little. Yeah, there's not a lot of. Yeah, like this is garbage for contracts here. Something wouldn't watch, and I don't like 19 days. Oil is very volatile, so that 12.15 is probably the best. I'd like those 105 calls. I think the 105 calls would be the better option here, because again, you have that nice high delta, low theta. Because like if you come out here to the 115s, you're looking for $15 move almost to get these in the money, which obviously you don't need them to get in the money to make money, but look at that delta. This is a 7-cent move per dollar, and you're going to be losing $1 of that value every day. So you're going to be taking off about 5% of that contract value per day. So something I like to stay away from. Again, you pay more, but you get that 42-cent per contract move, which delta will increase obviously as the stock goes up or down either way. So that is our XOM there. So kind of looking at that, maybe that 105 call around that 102.78 area. So let's move on. We have one more to look at, and that is Intel. So let me pull up the flow again here. So Intel. So we had 2 alerts come in here. So looks like both pretty close to closing. So let's and these are a little shorter term, midterm, 5 days. So keep in mind, well, in the money, so he's not worrying about data as much, but huge premium, good size premium, huge contract size. This is something that sticks out to me. So again, let's start here with the 40 call. So this is an interesting one because you see we have a bunch of, we'll say, ask side candles coming in. So this is one that's a little harder to tell, but based on the other alert that comes in, I'll kind of touch on that too. But we so our whale, this was 1442 that he came in, so that is this guy right here. So this is him. I probably doubt, unless he was messed up and wanted to cut in for some reason, but this whale was 2100 contracts. So again, bring that out here. See that size right there, 2100. Easy to see it in here when you just go right over the candle. It's going to tell you that ask side right there. So with that, we did have some bid side of 1,000 contracts come in after. So Not even if it was this whale, it's only taking about half of the size off, but I'm making the educated guess. It could be one of these earlier on whales here that could be closing in position. Can't 100% for sure tell. So this is something where I would like to look at the volume and open interest in the morning just to see how much carries over. And again, looking up here, you got your ask side, your bid side. So still a lot more ask side on here. See how much carries over. It's one thing I will always check in the morning is the open interest. So that is the flow alerts on Intel. And oh, let's do one more. We didn't look at the 37. So here's that 37 for 707,000. So 1420. And again, clean flow, very beautiful clean flow here. So typically, now going back to that other one where we saw that bid side whale, if I wouldn't have had this alert, I probably would have not called out the Intel one, just because you have that. If I have to question something, I'm just on to the next. But combining that other flow alert with this one, and this is a very short term one with high premium, so keep that in mind too. But you can see all the ask side volume come in. Here's your whales entry and just some bid side volume, which isn't outweighing this huge whale. But again, always check that volume and open interest in the morning, which always updates in here in the morning. So those were the alerts for Intel. So moving over to the calendar here, the chart. So you can see we're just moving along in this channel right here. So we're testing the top of this channel and that uptrend. So I almost like, well, we'll get into that after, but yeah, we're testing the top of that uptrend there. So you can see it's been a good area of resistance here. So let me bump this out to the week and we can take a peek at it that way too. Still seeing some of that buying pressure here though on that volume side of things, so that's a good sign. But you can see we're just kind of chopping along this little uptrend in the channel and we're testing the top of the channel again. So that weekly view had a little cleaner view there versus the daily. But go back to the day chart. So I do actually, I like this one, as I'll show you guys on Webull. Actually, it's a little easier, but let's finish up with the stats here. So again, they just had earnings, beat their Q3 earnings here and beat their revenue here. So good sign there, good fundamentals. And we did just have a dividend date, so that could have attributed to this little drop here. Usually you can see something dump after a dividend a little bit. So, but I like this one. So since these are more of a short-term, mid-term whale here, I kind of like taking this as a momentum entry. So if we break out of this channel about, let's see, where are we? You can get out of here about 38.96, 39.02-ish. I like taking that as a break above, actually. So looking at this chart, and I have 39.02 marked actually. So I like actually taking this with that momentum break. So I kind of like, let's look at the contract. So yeah, I have the 1124 selected. So I kind of like this 39 call again. Always looking for that strong delta, lower theta. So I would take these possibly on a break above that 3902 and see how much you get. Obviously, want to have a good, managing risk will always be important on these. But yeah, with taking the momentum entry too, just be very cautious because you can see a pullback a little quicker if you do see that rejection in that area. But again, always make sure to use risk management and all that stuff with everything. And again, remember, these are just ideas that I'm seeing right now. Again, always do your own due diligence. And I want to touch on one more thing too. So just kind of going into the week as well. CPI this week, PPI this week, retail sales, a lot of Fed speakers this week in manufacturing stuff. Obviously, we'll kind of go over everything in the group for those that are interested in that. So we do break down all the macro data, kind of earnings coming out and all that. So keep in mind about the economic releases coming out. Make sure to, again, always risk management with these trade ideas. And again, everything I'm just putting out is an idea. Again, not financial advice. But a couple other notes. If you are interested in trying unusual whales, I will leave a discount code in the bio. And if you're interested in checking out my Discord server as well, I will leave that link in the comments as well. We do have a 7-day free trial for those that are interested. But that is all I have for tonight. I'm going to be trying to do one of these a week for everybody. And for everyone that's in Discord that's listening, I'm going to probably try to do maybe 2 or 3 of these a week, depending on kind of once earnings season is done as well. There'll be more time, but looking forward to doing more of these. And everybody enjoy your weekend. Have a good day.